Welcome to episode number 32 of the Karen Knits podcast. My name is Karen, and I'm coming to you from South Central Pennsylvania, where I live, where I work, where I knit, I crochet, and I get into all kinds of other crafty shenanigans. Today is Saturday, I have to check. Today is Saturday, September 19th, 2020, and we've got a gorgeous fall day. Oh, it's so gorgeous out today. Beautiful bright blue sky, temperatures in the low 70s, upper 60s, lower 70s. It's just gorgeous. Starting to wear slightly longer sleeves. The temperature is just perfect. It seriously is my favorite time of the year. I absolutely love the autumn. So if you're a new viewer, welcome to my podcast, or welcome to my video, my little knitting show. I'm really happy to have you here. If you enjoy it, I'd love it if you would subscribe and come join me for my subsequent videos. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back for another week to see what I've got up to and what kind of crafting I've been doing for the last week or so. I'm super happy to have everyone here watching today. So today we have one finished object to show you, one work in progress to show you, and one new thing that's come into my stash this past week. So without further ado, let's move on to my finished object for this past week. It's done. The baby blanket I made for a friend of mine from a friend I used to work with a few years back. He and his wife are expecting a baby girl. I think he said now the last I heard was the 30th of September. So it's done. This is let me get the name right, Bouncy Ball Baby Blanket. It's a tongue twister. It's by Debbie Smith, and it's a crochet pattern. It's super quick, super easy to make, and I think it looks super fantastic when it's done. I just used leftover yarns I had. I think both of these, the white is Walmart Mainstays acrylic, worsted weight. The pink, I also think it's a Mainstays. It's a skein I had in my stash, so I finished that off. I used a 5mm hook or an H hook, and here she is. It's just folded in half, so there's six dots or bouncy balls by 6. I'm hoping that was all mostly in frame most of the way. I adore this pattern. I really do adore this pattern. It's quick, it's easy, and it just looks so cool when it's done. So when I stitched up the squares, I just do a whip stitch, and I just go through one of the 2 stitches in the crochet, do the 2 back stitches closer together, so that leaves this light little ridge. On the inside, it's nice and smooth, so you don't really see anything on the inside. I just did a simple single crochet, in US terms, a single crochet all the way around the edge, mostly just to smooth out this little spot where each square meets. What I typically like to do when I make this blanket is I like to use the ball color and do one more round of single crochet all the way around. I started doing that with this pattern, or with the pink yarn I had left over. There wasn't enough. I didn't quite make it halfway around and I was out of yarn. So I just scrapped that idea and just went with just the plain white border. So there we have it. I did it 6 squares by 6 squares, so it's roughly 36-inch square, 36 to 38 inches square. And it's done. What I'll do is I will insert a picture here. I'll take a picture of the blanket all laid out, so you can see the entire thing in one spot. But I will put a picture up here of the finished blanket. So it's all ready to. I'm just waiting to get their mailing address. I emailed my friend a couple days ago asking for their mailing address so I could send them a little gift, and I haven't heard back yet. So as soon as I get the address, I'll get this boxed up and get it popped in the mail. Like I said before, it doesn't have far to go, so it shouldn't take long to get there. It's the 19th now. Hopefully I'll get it in the mail. Hopefully I'll get it in the mail early next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week, and it should have no troubles just getting 50 or 70 miles up the road to their house. So that's my finished object. I'm so happy with it. I really do love that pattern. I think what I'm going to do now is, since I had those extra skeins of yarn, or extra skeins, the extra squares that had the funky white border on them, I think I'm going to make a bunch more squares, and I'm just going to make it just like a random one that's all random with the colors of the bouncing balls and the border colors. Some of them will be in that bluish white, some of them will be either in cream or the brighter white that I have. Either way, that's on the back burner for now, but I do think I will come back to that in the near future, and I'll make another one that I'll just have kind of in my gift pile, so it's ready to give away to somebody else when I find out somebody else has a baby on the way. So, finished object, so happy with it. Now I have one work in progress that I spent the rest of my time this past week I spent on this one work in progress. And that is my Tenya sweater. This is a pattern by Caitlin Hunter, and on this one I am using Quince & Co. Turn in the colorway Terracotta, and I'm using 3.5mm needles, or US size 3. I cast this on back towards the end of June, sometime in June, and I've been working on it on and off over the summer. And this past week, since I finished the bouncing ball, since I finished that blanket a couple days ago, I've had my spare time I've spent working on Tenya. And I'm in the process now. It's kind of awkward to hold and show because I'm doing some of the short row shaping on the shoulder, on the back piece. So I'm kind of like since it's short rows, I'm always going to be mid-row until I finish the back of the sweater. I tried to get that done this morning, but I just couldn't quite get it all done and still have time to get this taped today. So I'll hold this so I don't lose stitches. My progress this week has been from the silver marker up to here. So I've got a pile of work done, relatively speaking. I've got a lot of work done on this past week, so I'm really happy with the progress on this. I have, I think, 6 or 7 more rows, 6 or 8 more rows to do of the short row portions, and then I need to do the shoulder pieces, which is not much, and that's it. So the back is so close to done. I expect that once I finish filming this now and get the editing done and get it get it going onto YouTube, I will be able to finish this today. The back. I won't finish the whole sweater today. And then once the back is finished, I'll go around and do the front. And do the same thing. Knit, sew it up for a while on the front, and then, hang on, drop my yarn and bang the tripod. Sorry about that, people. I have no idea where the tripod was before. So, my biggest fear right now with this sweater is that the back is almost done. I still have the front to do from the armholes or the armpit all the way up the front. So however many stitches that is for, I think it's somewhere between 6 and 7 or 8 inches back and forth. And then the shoulder shaping portion, and then the neck, plus both the sleeves, which I don't really want a short, teeny little sleeve. I'd love to do the sleeve down to just above the elbow. My biggest concern, that's what I have for yarn. I am very fearful that I will run out of yarn. These are 50 gram, it's a 50 gram skein. So 200, I think it's 200 and some yards. I'll double check it and let you know if it's something wildly different than that amount of yardage. But I forgot to weigh this beforehand, but this is probably only about 25 grams left here, plus this. I still have the whole front portion to do, plus 2 sleeves. I'm getting very nervous that I am going to run out of yarn. I started with 8 skeins of yarn. I had thought that 8 skeins would be plenty, but because I'm knitting one of the larger sizes, because I'm not a tiny delicate little thing, I need the larger size. And because I also don't want it cropped, because no one needs to see my belly in a cropped sweater. I also knit it longer. So I think when I was thinking about how much yarn I would need, I think I underestimated by a bit, probably a fair bit. And I have a really bad feeling that I'm going to run out of yarn. I bought this yarn originally from somebody up in, was she in New Jersey or New York State? I don't recall right off the top of my head right now. But I bought it from her in the neighborhood of a year ago, a little over a year. I think it was a year ago in June. Now, what I will do, I didn't buy everything she had. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get going on the front. I'll finish the back and I'll get going on the front and see how much yarn I have left is holding out. If I'm going to make it, we're all good. But I think what's going to happen is I'm going to get along on the front and realize that I'm not going to have enough for the sleeves. So what I'm going to do then is I will text or Facebook Messenger to the same woman that I bought the rest of the yarn from. Cross my fingers. I'll have everyone out here watching me cross their fingers that she still has a few of those skeins of yarn left, and I can buy another 1 or 2 more skeins from her, and she can mail them down to me. So that's what first thing, I hope I don't run out. Let's all cross our fingers on that one and just hope I don't run out. If I do run out, or I am going to run out, Second best option, let's hope that this woman I bought the yarn from originally, hope she has some more a year later still sitting in her stash. Maybe she will. She might. And so hopefully she has another couple skeins that I can order and she can get those sent out to me. If that does not work, then I'm going to start contacting, there's a couple people on Ravelry that have the same yarn in the same colorway. Now the odds that it's going to be the exact same color are going to be slimmer. So if I end up being able to buy a couple skeins from somebody's stash on Ravelry, what I'm hoping is that I can finish the back and the front with the yarn I do have, and then I'll do the 2 sleeves in the new yarn, and just hope that the dye lot's not that wildly different. We'll see. Stay tuned. Subscribe, like this video, hit the notification bell. Stay tuned to find out if I'm going to have enough yarn to finish up this guy. Cross your fingers. Cross your fingers that I'm grossly underestimating how far this yarn is going to go that I do have. Cross your fingers that I actually am able to finish the sweater with what I've got. I have a bad feeling that that's not going to happen. So stay tuned. We shall find out if I lucked out or not. So stay tuned. We'll see. Hopefully by next week I've had a fair amount of time between now and next week to finish working on the front portion. My plan is I just have that sweater and my mitered square scrap blanket are the only 2 works in progress that I have on the go now. Now that the blanket is done, I only have those 2. I have not touched my mitered square blanket. I haven't touched it in several weeks now. And I suspect that this will just sit here patiently waiting for me, as it has been doing since 2014. But it'll just sit and wait, and I'm planning on spending whatever spare time and knitting time I have this upcoming week working on Tenya, because I'm getting the end is in sight, and I'm getting really eager to get it finished so I can wear it, and then I can, in my opinion, guilt-free cast on something else. And I have a sneaking suspicion my next cast on, so a work in mind, that I have, I just bought the pattern this morning, so is to make a worsted weight boxy. And it's a Joji Locatelli pattern. I think everybody and their mother has made a boxy. This Tenya has been a fingering weight sweater. I'd like to go back up to a heavier weight sweater for my next sweater that I make. I don't want to do another fingering weight. I don't think I want to do another fingering weight right away. I might change my mind and do the original boxy, but I really am leaning towards doing the worsted weight boxy. And I'm planning on using an undyed yarn for it, so I will knit it. I will knit the entire project in the undyed yarn, and then I might regret my decision later. I will dye it as a finished object. I hope that works. So, I'd rather do it that way, because then I'm more likely to be able to have more consistent color through the entire sweater, as opposed to dyeing multiple skeins and then having to alternate, and then when I switch to 2 more skeins, alternating. It's just a higher risk with my own hand-dyed yarn that I don't have the consistency for making a sweater quantity quite yet. But what I will do is I suspect I will try to dye it myself as a full sweater. We'll see. Tenya has to be finished first before I start casting on, before I cast on a boxy sweater. That's the plan. Either Tenya has to be finished or I have to be trying to beg for a couple more skeins when I run out of yarn. We shall see. So that's my work in mind. That's the next project that I suspect I will cast on. Not 100% decided on that, but I'm over 90% decided that I'm pretty sure it's going to be, pretty sure that's what it'll be. So next thing I wanted to talk about is I also have a small bit of stash acquisition that's come into my house in the past week. So let's take a look at the stash I bought. And that poor little ball of yarn. My knit crate. Knit crate September 2020 sock crate yarn. And I did a little unboxing video on my channel a couple days ago. It just arrived on Monday or Tuesday? Monday, I think it arrived. So, as I think I mentioned in a previous video, whenever I do the knit crate, sock crate, I just go with the anything goes option. I'm not too fussed about whether it's a cool tone, a warm tone, whether it's neutral. It's sock yarn. I don't care. I'm not too fussy about that. So if you have ordered this and you haven't received yours yet and you still want it to be a surprise, stop watching and come back in a little bit and you can watch the tail end of the podcast. But here is the yarn from this month. So it's Knitology, and here's the details. So the colorway is boy. It's 80% merino, superwash merino, 20% nylon, 400 yards, and this is a self-striping. So I have a strong suspicion this will become a pair of socks. I'm not sure when I'll cast it on. It will be in the near future, I suspect. I'm starting to get an itch for knitting socks again. I haven't done socks in a while, so I'm about ready to cast on a pair of socks fairly soon. And plus it's starting to get a little cooler out, so my toes are starting to think they're about ready for new socks as well. So this will most likely turn into a pair of socks somewhere down the line, and I'll keep you posted. Also with that came a little fridge magnet, or a little magnet. It's going to go on I have one of those 3-tier carts from Michaels that I keep my journals and different journaling things on, so that all my books and pens and good stuff is all kept somewhat together. So this won't go on the fridge, but it will go on my cart. So that was a little extra that came with that. And what else? School is going well. We're well into the semester. I'm happy that things have settled into a nice routine, that everything is remaining, at least on our campus, everything is nice and stable. We haven't had any cases of people getting sick. It's working out well. I did opt for teaching my classes online this semester. Mostly just because my husband has asthma and I don't want to be going into my classrooms, teaching my college-age kids, and then potentially bringing home germs that could impact my husband. His with lung problems, he's more susceptible to pick up, especially if it's a respiratory illness that's going around. He has a higher likelihood of getting sick than other people. So I just wanted to minimize exposing him to more than necessary. Odds are we're both going to stay perfectly fine. We're both going to be healthy. Chances are that's going to be fine. So what else? Yesterday we went and checked out a small zoo not far from our place. We had a really fun afternoon. It was really nice. Got a chance to wander around, see some birds and animals that we're not familiar with or don't see often. So that was really fun. It was a really nice afternoon. We tend to take either a Thursday or Friday as our day off, and we do something. We just go out and do something fun that day. My husband works weekends. Well, he's a pastor, so he works on Saturdays prepping, doing visiting and things like that, and then we have church on Sundays. So our weekends are booked up. And I teach my formal classes are on Monday and Wednesdays, and then I have other things that I'm doing Tuesdays and often on Thursdays. So we typically try to take Friday, sometimes Thursday, but typically Friday is our weekend day where we just do something fun and we make a point of going out and doing something those days, especially when the weather is fantastic like it is now. Once winter rolls around, we might kind of tone that back a little bit, but we'll see. So otherwise, I don't think there's much else. I think that's about it. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. If you haven't already, I would love it if you would subscribe to my Itty Bitty channel, like this video, comment down below. I love talking with you guys. Ring the notification bell so you find out when I do post new videos. I do try to post my knitting videos once a week, so hopefully that'll continue. And stay tuned for next week and see how far I get with my skein and a half of yarn that I have left, and see if I can squeak out that sweater with what yarn I have left. Cross your fingers, come back next week and see if I made it. I really am hoping I can finish Tenya this upcoming week to 2 weeks. This week if I don't run out of yarn. 2 weeks if I do run out of yarn. And anyways, enough belly aching about my yarn or lack thereof. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it, and I will see you guys all again next week. Bye now.